Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the place where we peel back the curtains to reveal the private truths behind public personas. If you value unvarnished stories and heartfelt confessions, please subscribe, press the join button to support us directly, and don't forget to like and comment. Your voice keeps these conversations alive. Under a gentle domestic light, away from the manufactured glare of red carpets and scripted sound bites, Cemre Arda spoke in a way she had not dared for months. With a clarity that replaced silence, and with a tenderness that demanded to be heard. In an intimate interview that felt less like a press piece, and more like a long overdue letter, the actress admitted something that unmoored many of her admirers. The person she calls Gökberk was, in her own reckoning, the singular love of her life. The confession arrived not as an accusation nor as a plea, but as a settled truth. Her voice, at times barely quieter than the pause between two sentences, carried the weathered warmth of someone who had survived intense longing. It is one thing to say love once existed, it is another to acknowledge that such love remains the axis around which one's memory still turns. Cemre's recollection did not romanticize pain. Instead, she spoke of paradox, how a bond that burned at both ends could simultaneously fuel and ruin a person. She described the sensation not as a single flash of passion but as a prolonged, often contradictory flame, one that heated her to life and left scorch marks in equal measure. I loved him with everything I had, she said, searching for words that would not diminish what had been genuine. It was not flawless. It was riven with difficulties, and yet, every imperfection seemed to count toward its truth. When asked whether she had ever felt that depth again, her response was resolute, no. She framed that past affection as irreplaceable not because she sought martyrdom, but because authenticity, once felt so profoundly, resists replication. Pause here for a moment, dear viewers. Do you believe a single love can define a life? Share your thoughts below. If you appreciate these more intimate explorations, support our work by hitting join. It keeps this channel independent and able to bring you stories straight from the heart. After the public dissolution of her relationship, Cemre retreated into a private calculus, away from premieres, away from magazine covers, away from the relentless commentary that often eclipses human complexity. Those months of absence were fertile with quiet labor. She rebuilt evenings by the sea, let words pour into notebooks, and stitched herself back together with the help of close family and long, reflective walks. Her silence, she explained, was not avoidance but recovery. I had to find myself beyond the contours of another person, she confessed. The idea of losing one's identity inside a relationship is familiar, yet Cemre articulated it with an uncommon lucidity. When devotion begins to determine every choice, the sacrificial choices that once felt heroic can, over time, hollow you out. Objects of memory remain in her possession, faded letters, passed around photos, and small tokens kept in a simple box. These are not relics of nostalgia but pieces of a life once lived fully. She admitted to revisiting certain melodies that once accompanied their shared rituals, songs they would play before stepping on set, and to finding in them not only sorrow but a calibration of who she once was. Those objects and songs, she said, remind her of capacity, the capacity to feel, to commit, to be moved by something beyond calculation. Cemre is candid about the fallout that followed those years. Professional opportunities fell away, friendships became strained under the pressure of public speculation, and she endured the loneliness that sometimes comes from having loved so visibly. Yet she refuses to frame those costs purely as loss. She insists that certain losses are also teachers. The process of rebuilding her career, she says, has been painful but essential, an apprenticeship in resilience. That resilience, critics now observe, has deepened her craft. Her most recent role, they say, bears the patina of lived experience. In scenes where others might rely on practiced gestures, Cemre's performance reportedly conveys a quiet interiority that suggests not acting but inhabiting. There's an honesty there now, a reviewer wrote, that honesty, she believes, is something pain bestowed upon her, an unwanted but useful teacher. She denies the notion that she is waiting for reconciliation. There is no anxious surveillance of fate. Rather, she carries a serene openness. If our paths cross again, I will not flee, she allowed. I will not hold bitterness like armor. Those words signal something rare, a farewell that carries gratitude. She refuses to reduce the relationship to either triumph or tragedy. Instead, she treats it as a formative chapter that changed her architecture. For women who have loved intensely and publicly, Cemre's story is a crucial template, the idea that vulnerability need not become perdition. Instead, it can be a vector of self-knowledge. Her rhetoric here is not rhetorical, it is pragmatic compassion. She recognizes the duality of love, how it can both make and break you. I was formed by it, she said, and for that I will always be grateful. During the interview, she also addressed those who criticized her choices, including the jobs she declined to prioritize companionship. She did not excuse every decision, but contextualized them with an honesty that is disarming. I chose connection, she said. At the time, it mattered more than the metrics of career. She owns that the course she charted demanded rebuilding later, and she views that rebuilding as part of the price of being human. That price included what she called emotional homelessness, after the relationship's end, the unsettling sense that a refuge had vanished. When two people once functioned as each other's primary home, loss becomes not merely a private sorrow but an evacuation. Yet from that evacuation came a reclamation, the arduous, daily work of reconstituting a sense of belonging that begins with oneself. Her posture toward future romantic commitments reflects a newly established autonomy. She is not closed off to affection, but she insists on parity. I do not seek to be completed by another, she stated. Anyone who enters my life must walk beside me, not in front or behind. This insistence on companionship rather than completion is part boundary and part manifesto. It sets a new standard in which equality and personal agency are prerequisites. Finally, Cemre offered a meditation on teaching, how pain instructs, how love can be both tutor and test. She spoke of lessons that cannot be transferred through syllabi, the kind of knowledge that only heartache yields. It prepared me, she reflected, for subtleties I could not learn anywhere else. That sentiment resonates beyond celebrity gossip. It is a human lesson about learning through living. We close this segment by returning to what she stored in silence, a quiet affection, unashamed and unspent. She expressed no longing for rekindling. She expressed a willingness to remember with tenderness and to move forward with dignity. It is a mature, bittersweet reconciliation between past and present. Dear audience, what did you take away from Cemre's story? Do you believe some loves define us permanently, or do you think the heart is endlessly renewable? Share your experiences in the comments. Your stories matter here on Whatever You Need. If this deep dive resonated with you, support independent journalism and intimate storytelling by liking, subscribing, and clicking the join button to receive special content. Your engagement helps us maintain a space where celebrity becomes human and headlines become human stories. Thank you for staying with us through this intimate conversation. Remember to like the video if you felt moved, subscribe if you're new, and press join to support more interviews and unfiltered narratives. We'll return with more stories that illuminate the private lives behind public names. Until then, guard your heart, honor your past, and trust the work of becoming.